Welcome back, everybody, to another show here on the O'Shea Duke Jackson main channel. I'm your host, O'Shea Duke Jackson. I'm very glad to be back here. I know it's early in some parts of the world in the United States. It is 5:42 here in Kampala, Uganda, and I am talking to another brother who is also in East Africa with me here, but in the neighboring country in Mombassa, Kenya. And we want to talk about some information as it relates to our people back in America, the African Americans or Black Americans, and we're talking about modern Africa. The tidal wave can't be stopped. But in for another subject, will you, as African Americans, will Black Americans, will you miss out on the opportunity of modern Africa? So I'm here today with Amen Rahh. Glad to join you, brother. Thank you for coming on the show.
Okay, thank you.
All right, let me turn your volume up a little bit. Amen Rahh, for those people who may not know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been living, on the continent.
Okay, first of all, I'm a native of LA, Los Angeles. Born and raised there in the South Central area. I came to Kenya and when I was 37 years old in 1996, and I've been here now for about 21, 22 years. So I became Black conscious in 1986, and that started my journey to come to Africa because I realized I couldn't be consider myself African and not ever had gone to the continent. So that took 10 years for me to come, and I initially was supposed to come on a 3-month visit, but I ended up staying up until now. And it's been a wonderful joy for me. Normally you have your ups and downs, and then I had to get my adjustments because I didn't have any model to go by or anyone to help me in my journey here. I was like the first Black American in Mombasa. I wouldn't say I was the first one, but I'm saying there was no one I knew other than everyone I talked to said I was the only one they had known that was living and planning on staying here. And in 2005, I wrote a book called Black Man's Guide to Moving to Modern Africa to give brothers some sort of insight on how they can make that transition and how they can manage themselves in modern Africa. And since I wrote that book in 2005, things have become a lot easier. And the engagement and the talk about moving to Africa has increased tenfold. In 2005, my book was like a no-seller. But today, many people are interested in the fact because of the level of oppression that has been heaped upon us recently in the United States, and the clear signs of the rise of racial attacks on Blacks in the last year since Trump came into office. It's like we've gone nowhere. So this is basically who I am. Also, I'm a martial artist, grandmaster in Mantis Kempo Karate, and we have a federation of martial arts schools here in Kenya. We're the largest martial art practice in Kenya. So you're in Uganda, you can get kind of touched there. But these are some of the things that I've accomplished. That was my love, being in the martial arts, and so I was able to come to Africa and live out my dream in dealing with martial arts. And today I have a new dream. I've been blessed to now go as far as I could go in martial arts, and now I have a new dream, which is digital revision. So this is a tablet in Kenya. I don't know if they have it dealing in Uganda, but over the 22,000 public primary schools they have in Kenya, the government issued tablets to each class. In the majority of those primary schools, and I'm working on software that helps utilize these tablets.
I see. All right, let me shout out to one of my favorite brothers, man. I ain't talked to him on the phone in a long time, brother Aaron Ferris. He has a question about getting citizenship in Kenya, but let me ask you one question before we get into that.
Okay.
Amen Rahh, Kenya has changed dramatically. I will even say this: I started coming to Africa just in 2017. Uganda has changed dramatically in just 2 years because we couldn't even do this stream in Kampala 2 years ago, and we can do it now because of the infrastructure. What was Kenya like 20 plus years ago when you first got there, and what is it like now?
Okay, when I first got here, I was, I worked for corporate America as a computer operator for 15 years. So
Okay.
I knew computers well, and I would like to say I was one of the first people to start on the internet when it was CompuServe. So I knew all the internet. I got my email account is like 25 years old. So when I got to Kenya, just to kind of put it in perspective, there were only two places that had internet in Nairobi, and one of them was the Hilton Hotel, and they were charging 500 shillings for 30 minutes just to send an email. So today it's basically free, but that was the case then. Then, if you wanted to make a phone call outside of the country, you had to go to Telcom building in Nairobi, wait in a long line with other foreigners for your turn to use the telephone to call out. Today, I can pick up my mobile phone and speed dial anybody that I want to in the United States, and I get a really fresh connection instantly. And it's cheaper for me to call them than it is for them to call me. So the changes have been drastic. And remember that we now have coming your way to Uganda, the HGR, the high-speed railway. This has been opening up areas that were normally not even touched by human inhabitants. The
Mm-hmm.
train is going through Naivasha, going to go through Kisumu into Kampala, and this is going to happen. I keep trying to tell people that it's not something that's going to happen instantly. You know, we blacks in America, we want to be instant. Everything got to be right now. No, it's like a wave. It's going to happen over some lifetimes. And in my 20 years here, I'm today more than ever. I say that the solution to our problems in Black America is moving to modern Africa, because as Africa rises, the West is declining, and we are seeing that. And they're
So
desperate.
what ways is the West declining?
The West is declining because they're no longer a superpower that they were, where they were independent. Case in point, Venezuela. Although they're trying to keep a lot of that news blocked outside of the mainstream public in the United States, but to put a quick point on it is that Venezuela is supposed to be having the most oil reserves of any country.
Mm-hmm.
The United States has been weakening that country for decades, and now they had created a puppet guy. They put him in place and said he was the president, not the real president. And America was about to had a plan to take over that country and then take over their oil reserves. But the Russians and the Chinese flew in military personnel into Venezuela and said, "No, America, you will not do that." Now, this is what happened less than a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what's happening in the international community, which many Americans have not seen. And especially Black people should be keen, because they're not going to allow, Russia and China are not going to allow the United States to get the oil. And so since they didn't get the oil, what happened to U.S. Gas prices? They're going up. So, and you see that, and it will continue to go up, and the economy will still have that pressure because Africa is rising, and the United States is not the superpower that it once was, and it cannot go around and take what it wants without having opposition in the form of the Chinese and the Russians. And because of America's racist policies toward Africa, they left it wide open for the Chinese to come in and partnership with Africa. And now, even if there was like a military war, China can be sure that 1.2, I mean, not 1.2 billion, but like, 500, most of the Black guys countries are going to side with her. And America could not dare come into sub-Saharan Africa and start military conflicts, that this is not going to happen. They can do it with the Arabs, but they can't do that to the African. And I know a lot of black people want to, romanticize that America can come into Africa and do whatever they want anytime they want. They have the military. You've been watching too many G.I. Joe movies. You need to quit that. Nobody's gonna come into Africa and do nothing like destroy and take over. Let me make my point clear so you can understand. The Aborigines in Australia were there. The white man came. He subjugated them. He even made the Tasmanians. He beat the Tasmanians into extinction. The white man came into North America and wiped out the Indians. He did the same thing in South America. Beat them out, took over whatever little land that they was trying to control, and he had subjugated them completely. The black man in North America has been enslaved, oppressed for 400 years. You don't know a day when you was anywhere near equal to the white man. Each and every time you try to move up, try to create your own black city and town, they burn it down. This is 400 years ago. 100 years ago today, the Chicago riots, they will not let you grow and become equal with them. Those are white man's rule. And if you look at history clearly, it's not going to happen. And this is why I'm telling the ADOS, how in the hell do you think he's going to subjugate you and oppress you for 400 years, keep you unequal to him economically? And then just because somebody put a hashtag, they're going to turn around and give out trillions of dollars and make you equal with him? No. And it's not about the money. It is about the power and status. That's what you want in America, really. Because they can give you lots of money, but if you're not part of the elite, the ones who run the country, then you ain't nothing. And black people, you ain't gonna never be the elite running the country. The white man rather blow it up with an atom bomb than let you take it over. So if you know your history of white man, you can see how fiercely he has fought to keep you down so that you do not become equal to him. Now the African, keeping in mind that they beat the Aborigines, they beat the Indians, they went into Africa and they tried to colonize the African in his own land. That shit didn't even last 50 years. Because the African is not a joke. You might think he's, slow, and you might think he's stupid but he's not. When you talk to him, he might talk slow because English is not his first language. But the African kicked the white man out of Africa. Let the histories be told by the obvious what's going on today. He didn't have a chance because the African is cool, calm, and collected until he turns. And when he turns, it's no turning him back. That's why you see the Zulus can attack, and if the white man was had just 1-2 Gatling guns that saved them from being annihilated in South Africa. The Mau Mau murdered off people left and right. There's so many where whites were just wiped out because the African, when he turns, he don't take no prisoners. Classic example of this. If you want to know how fierce the African can be, you just got to look at the Rwanda genocide. The Rwanda genocide, he didn't take no prisoners. In a matter of 3 days, he wiped out millions of his own people. You understand what I'm saying? It was for the wrong reasons. But I just want you to know the tenacity of the African. And for those Negroes in America who still think that America is all that, talking about the Africans being controlled by the Chinese, you're stupid. You shouldn't even think like that. How the hell can that be possible? You just got to think and stop regurgitating propaganda that you hear them telling you. Because what you're saying is that you got information that you know that the Africans being tricked by the Chinese, but the billion Africans don't know that? You see? That already shows you the arrogance of the white man is coming out of your mouth. How in the hell can you put the African to be so stupid that he's being tricked by the Chinese and you know it, but the African don't know it? How can you imagine that there's a white man sitting in the African White House in the back room telling the African, no, don't do that policy. No, that's not good. Don't do that. And even if this was true, do it make sense that the white man in the back room controlling the African would allow the African to have 70% of his trade done with the Chinese? How could that be? If the white man was really running things, he'd be running things. He wouldn't be having no high gas prices. He'd be coming and exploiting you. The fact of the matter is the African is rising. The governments in these countries are strengthening. They're getting rid of the issues that they have that come with growing pains of being growing new governments. And the older generation is moving out, younger generations are moving in. Then they're dealing with all of the things that's going on as far as raising up to become their rightful place as a superpower. And the Chinese are helping them. So it should be God bless the Chinese because they're giving the African infrastructure loans in which in 20 years has transformed Africa, where the IMF had 40 years with the African and he didn't do nothing but oppress the African and trick them and take all their money and ruin their economy.
Let me ask this real quick before we ask some other questions. And we have 109 people. The chat is going crazy right now. I'm assuming we'll hit at least 200. Get the likes up. Let me shout out two of the brothers that have super chatted here. One of the brothers, again, Aaron Ferris, one of my favorite brothers. How do we obtain citizenship in Kenya? And Jamal Omar, I agree. Modern Africa can be Black Americans' heaven and utopia. Thank you, brother Jamal. I think that's a BAIO, brother. How do we obtain citizenship in Kenya, brother Amen Ra? That's what he wants to know.
Get that nonsense out of your mind about papers and citizenship. This is a white man's concept. Okay, African countries, because they're international, they deal with the paperwork because all other countries, if they wanted to do business with the European countries, they had to have their same passport, same paperwork like that. But in Africa, the things don't work the same way as they do in the Europeans. Remember, it was citizenship that got the black man oppressed in the first place. If you look at the Constitution, there says that Blacks in America are not citizens. They cannot obtain citizenship. And for sure, Dr. Jacqueline, I forgot her last name, Dr. Jacqueline Billet wrote a beautiful article, and she's on video telling you that the Constitution was saying that no one could be a citizen of the United States except white people up until the 1952. So please, you're talking stuff about white people. You bring your black ass over to Africa. Ain't nobody gonna come up to you and say, show me your paperwork. You must get out of it. You must leave. It's not going to happen like it would do in the United States. You get pulled over in a car in the United States, you don't have your license and your insurance, and you going to jail. That's just as simple. Like they ain't gonna give you no break. But in Africa, it's different. We do have there is an understanding to our position here in Africa, and this is the case.
Okay,
if you want to start a business in Africa, you don't need a passport, you don't need citizenship.
Okay, let me ask you this, Amara. I've been to Kenya, but very briefly. But are you aware of a YouTuber named Wode Maya?
Willie, no.
Wode Maya, short little dude. Yeah, he's
that little boy. Is that little boy, the Ghanaian guy?
Yeah. That's the.
I know him well, but I never looked at his name.
Okay, yeah. So, you, I don't know if you know, I met him twice. We're friends. Yeah. So I was actually in Nairobi with him. In fact, whenever I go to Kenya, I've met him twice there. There was a situation when we were at the Yaya Center in Nairobi, and
he was taking pictures.
No. He was trying to get we was trying to send some money to the landlord guy we were staying with, and we were in traffic, and the guy needed the money right then, so we couldn't wait to get back to the Westland. So, anyways, he was trying to send money, and he didn't have a registered M-Pesa account, but then people didn't want to help him because they thought that he was a Nigerian.
Yeah, I
So
heard that.
yeah, no, and also, Walter Mike could be a little he could kind of, maybe take some things out of proportions here and there, but that's absolutely a true story. Now, and I've also myself have been pulled over by the police in Johannesburg in Sandton. And they asked me, like, for no reason though. I'm in a Taxify. They pulled the car over. And I left my passport at I mean in the house. They asked for, all your stuff or whatever, and then they try to say, "Oh, we're gonna take you to jail because you don't have it." I faced that personally, so I've seen this personally
Okay,
happen here in Africa.
South Africa,
Keep
no, no, no. South Africa is different because
okay,
South Africa is controlled by whites, and that same white rule is in South Africa, but it ain't
okay,
in Kenya. If you got the same situation where the policeman is and I can't really talk about this on live air, but if you got the same situation where the guy's asking you for your paperwork and you have a story, then that policeman will be more appreciative of your story than ones that in South Africa. That's definitely. I was in Johannesburg. I know what it's like, and that's why I chose Kenya over Johannesburg after being living in Johannesburg for so many months.
okay,
Kenya is different. Tanzania is different,
okay.
and I would suspect that Uganda is just as different. It's not
Oh,
the same. You
right,
just have
right.
to live here for a while. This issue of paperwork is not the most important thing at the beginning. First thing is, can you survive in the country? That's why you gonna get a pat? Why you gonna get the citizenship? You can't eat that. You can't pay your rent with that. You need to
Okay,
get yourself situated first and stop talking about paperwork. That should be like almost the last thing.
okay, okay. Well, let me ask you this though, because there are advantages, and Rod, to having, for example, like in Uganda. I don't know about Kenya. Foreigners can only lease land, I believe, but people who are Ugandan, I know this is true for some other places in West Africa and Africa, they can own stuff. They do get certain. I mean, even going to the zoo and stuff like that for is much cheaper for people who are citizens in the East African community than it is for other people. So it does seem that there are some small advantages. So assuming that you find out that you can support yourself, you can do all of these things. What would be the necessary steps to then go further in the process of wanting to, get the paperwork taken care of?
Okay, even by the example you give in the zoo, there's no zoo in Africa. But we run around with the animals. Honestly, well, that zoo, that's the thing in the U.S. and the European countries. They where they trap the animals and put them on display. The point I'm trying to make here is that the issue of paperwork is not important. There are so many Europeans that come here and don't do their paperwork. Okay, and they have fines because some of those guys come in. Those many of those criminals that come here do bad things, they don't do their paperwork for obvious reasons, and so the government does track down for them. It's a matter of the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. Now, the issue about having a house and own land. This is an American concept where you think like you're successful because you got a house or you bought land. No, you can buy land all you want, but if you don't have people to tilt that land and put that land and make that land profitable, you just got some land. It ain't gonna be doing nothing but draining your income. And I have never seen a rich person say, I became rich because I bought a house. No, a house is a liability. Okay, it's not something that is something where you get like you're successful. And if you buy a house,
Mm-hmm.
because I know a lot of us had this in our mental mind. You want to buy a nice house and then invite your friends over to see all your nice house and things like that. And then they're gonna come in like, oh, you're so successful because you got this big house, this big. This is not true. This is just dreams in our mind. Most of your friends won't come to your house but more than once or twice because they be jealous. If they're black and from America, and the African isn't concerned less. Okay? Because a house to him, when you show him a big house with like 5 bedrooms, he's gonna look at you like this is a waste of money. And I'm telling you like this, because you're losing the fact that when you come here, you need to reproduce yourself. You need to have a family and then reproduce yourself so that your children can take care of you when you get old. And you're gonna get old. You're gonna get old and you ain't gonna be able to work no more. 20 years from now, 15 years from now, you're gonna slow down. You're gonna have to have your children there to take care of you. Otherwise, you're gonna be an old ass person doing what? You understand what I'm saying? I got children here. My children already are starting to say, Daddy, how can I help you? Daddy, I'm like, okay, go to the store and buy me this. Go do this, do that. You see, that is the natural progression of life for us once we become older. So these young guys now, you're thinking like that's far from you. No, get here, establish a family, and then have children, raise those children to be successful, and they're the ones that take care of you, not you. By the time you get your big house, you'll be too old, and nobody will be living there but you, because your children are gonna go out and get their own home. So this concept of having big houses and all of that, and nice cars, this is nonsense. It's not. This is American capitalism mindset that you see you trying to impress and force into an African culture. It won't fit. I say again, it won't fit.
All right, I'm a rock. So let me ask you this, okay? You talk about family right now. So provided that a person gets married and all of this stuff, is it then possible at this point that a person can have citizenship based off of the fact that they have gotten married? Is that possible at that point?
The biggest thing, that the most important paperwork you can have in Kenya is your name on a Kenyan birth certificate or an African country's birth certificate. Once you have children and your name is on their birth certificate, ain't nobody gonna talk about taking you out their country. And you provide for that child? Oh, how? You can't. No court is gonna tell you got to go because of why. You see what I'm saying? If you ain't broke no laws, it's silly. If you break it all the way down, it's like that. But if you was in America, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't care less. And this is the mentality. You're trying to flip it to make it seem like it's supposed to work the same way in Africa. Okay. You don't need that. Get children, get a birth certificate, and see if somebody gonna tell you got to leave out the country. Now I got like 6 birth certificates with my name on it. I was there for all my children when they was born. I'm in communication with all my children except one, and you see what I'm saying? And that one can call me if they want. So it's not a matter of citizenship. If you a no good person, ain't nobody in your community gonna want you there anyway. You understand what I'm saying to you? So when you come to Africa, get in the paperwork. It's very easy. Okay, it's not hard. You can get dual citizenship in Kenya in the same day if you got money. You understand what I'm saying to you? They'll be happy to give it to you. So I don't see where you're driving this point about having a proper citizenship. You don't need citizenship to get land. You don't need citizenship to rent a house. You don't need citizenship to get a job. You come here, you pay money, and you get a work permit, and then you go and do your thing. Nobody's going to disturb you. There's so many expats. The UN headquarters is in Kenya. There's so many hundreds of foreigners that are here. The country does business with them all the time, day and night. You ain't special because you black. You come, you go to the embassy, you go to the immigration office. They tell you what you need and you do it. Okay. So this idea is silly. There are. Let me repeat that because I know you got them people in the chat room. There are hundreds of foreigners in Kenya right now. I would say thousands. Let me not even go to hundreds. Thousands. They come here for work visas all the time. Google has a headquarters here. Visa has a headquarters. All these apps, and I know many of them. Some have the proper paperwork and some don't. Kenya said that all foreigners had to come and re-register for new work permits because they're giving them digital work permits. And then everybody had to go down. They needed a work permit, had to go down and get a work permit. Now, some of us like to work underneath the radar, and because we have a small business or whatever, and then we do our thing, and nobody's gonna really look for it. There's no agency like the FBI coming looking for. Okay, we got to find these blacks who are hiding. Nobody's hiding. You understand what I'm saying? We're just trying to survive like everybody else, and we need to get away from the paper.
Let me ask you this though. Okay, so let me shout out to Brother Moses for the African pageant. King John Lee, thank you for the $5. Let me get the likes up on the video. I'm gonna not interrupt a little bit more, but I want to kind of get on to the topic. So I see some holes, not in what you're saying, but when we see Africa is rising to modern Africa, when I look at modern Africa now, obviously, and you will make this good point that I've just been here very short times. I just like Dynas, whenever he comes to the continent, he's not here for a long period of time like you. So the things that we see may or may not always be the truth as we interpret it. But when I see that modern Africa, and it is modernizing, no doubt about that, but I'm seeing it being a modernization for those people who are at the top. I see people who are very talented, who are still very much at the bottom. I know chemical engineers who are working as waiters. I've seen that in Kenya. I've seen it in Uganda. What I do see is the lack of the government to talk to I see the lack of the government. This is what I see. The government doesn't work very well with the educational system, and the educational system is not working well with the economy. So you have a lot of people that are talented that are graduating schools, but then there's no opportunities for them in the economy, which means that if you are a non-business owner in Africa, you will never be able to own a home. You will never be able to do all of these things unless you are, because the wages are very, very low. So while it is true for some African Americans who might be talented, like those that are in the chat, or even guys like myself who have built a business you can use anywhere in the world, I do feel very sad for the local Africans who are in this economy, most of them who will never have that opportunity. So when I see Africa rising, in my opinion, it's only rising for a small percentage of people, not for everybody as a whole, to the point where people can afford to be able to do things for themselves, take themselves out of absolute poverty. In my opinion, what's your take on that?
Okay, first of all, I can understand what you're saying, but you keep twisting it in there with that U.S. capitalistic mindset. First of all, housing. Anybody can afford a house, man, in Africa, surely. I go help somebody build a house all the time. They go, and it's in many of the tribes that it's the cultural right to go build a house. So they can go build a house in their ancestral land. It's like a simple house. It doesn't even cost but maybe a few $100 US to build.
Let me. I'm sorry. Let me clarify then what I'm saying. Okay.
Okay.
So let me just talk in numbers that we can understand. Most people that I've met here in Uganda, I met at rental one guy in Kenya, but I'll just use my Ugandan experience. This guy makes about 500,000 Ugandan shillings a month, which is about $130. He works 6 days a week. His cell phone is going to cost about $10 a month or $15 a month. His transportation to get to work is going to cost about $45 a month, and then also his food is about another $40 a month if he has stuff that he needs to buy, personal hygiene stuff, and other things. We ain't even talking about the rent now. I mean, automatically, and the place that he works for makes a lot of money, but there's no incentive for the supervisors to want to give him a raise, or people like him a raise. So what I'm saying is these kind of low wages and people being exploited. We're not even talking about houses right now. We're talking about the fact that people can't even pay for their own food and transport.
Fine, because you can go in like that. I see what you're trying to do. First of all, you're trying to say like poverty and people having struggles is unique with Africa. For every story you can talk about, I can give you 20 of those stories that's going on right now in the U.S. I'm sure when you run around Uganda, you don't see tent cities every which way, a place like that. But in America, there's so many homeless people. So the tragedies that you can try to come up with the guy in Africa is not hardly what goes on in the U.S. That guy can go down to housing that can come down to, he can remove down to housing that's just a one-room place, and he's only paying $10, $15 a month for that room, and he can have access to water, electricity, and live prosperously. In the United States, you don't have that. You got the regular rent, and then you got homelessness. There's a big drop. There's no space in between there.
That's not true. There's social programs. Well,
social programs like what?
There's Section 8. There's welfare.
And why are the people in the tents?
Why are people in the tents? Well, what I'm saying is that's not necessarily true. That people are.
I hear you, And I understand where you are. You're trying to make sense of everything. And I'm saying just take your time with it. The African life, even if you look at that brother, the brother is not starving, not dying, not having major issues like that. This isn't for every brother. Like there's so many Africans that are successful. They're building new estates everywhere, all through Kenya. When you come to Kenya, you take the high-speed train or railway from Nairobi to Mombasa and see how many new housings are coming up. Who's living
But what
there?
I'm saying is, yeah,
I'm saying,
who's but
this
but
is
but
growth.
Brother Ra,
Growth.
it is growth. But what I'm saying is this.
So one incident, when you come and sing a song about one person, you're trying to make it people have feel an effect because of one person you're naming who we don't even know. So that's not the case.
Ra, that's not true. That is true. I mean, I'm here in Africa. I see it all the time. I'm talking to people. So this is more than one. It's more than one issue, especially in East Africa. This is the issue that we got. You don't want to come in. You can't be disillusioned about how you feel versus what's going on.
No, I'm saying you're looking for poverty, you'll find it. If you're looking for rich and growth, you'll also find it in Africa. So it depends on what you're looking for. So me, I'm looking for growth. You know what I mean? But if I want to go down to Kabir or somewhere and look around and look at poor people,
yeah, well, yeah, Kabir.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay, there's it. But
the
fact of the matter, Africa is rising. There's no doubt about that. And the United States, in black communities, which are gone now, we're not rising. So it behooves blacks to move from where their land is giving them oppression to a land where they can be a part of the growth.
Okay, well let me talk about this then. Where do we as African Americans fit? Because obviously, where is it that we fit in this transformation? Because I will agree. Because even in 2 years, I've seen Africa, as far as just Uganda in itself, because I come here the most. I've seen the country transform in 24 months, where there's a new road from the airport. I see infrastructure. I see things getting better, much quicker at a much faster rate. But what about what are the African Americans' opportunities in Africa that they can do? Because it seems like what you're saying. Are you saying that should they give up their U.S. citizenship and come to Africa solely, or I don't know. I don't think you're saying that also. But what can African Americans? How do they fit in to this particular modern Africa?
Okay, you see, you got this. This is what's happening to the African American as he gets older. Okay, you're in your 30s and 40s, you're in your prime of your life. You probably got some chick that you've been pursuing, or you got her and you guys are dating, which dating is a waste of time if you're not developing a family. That makes no sense. But then you're having your normal issues of dealing with credit and bills and things like that, which America, being such a capitalistic system, it can heap a lot of credit debt on you very quickly, and then you find yourself trapped where you have to work to just try to survive and pay the bills. Like I said, there is no middle ground there. It's either you got an apartment, because metropolises they have zoning laws, they have laws that say you if you don't have an apartment, you don't have nothing. And so there's a drop. So if you get kicked out of your apartment, it's the next step is homelessness. In Africa, there's so many other small stages that you can go to, from rooms to in small houses, which people use to come up. Okay, I'm one of them. Okay, so you can't look at this thing as something that is going to happen in your lifetime. So when you get to like 40 and 50, okay, now you see that you start looking backwards instead of forward. But as you look forward, you don't see less opportunity because you've now set in your ways. You see, you're not going to go to college. You're not going to start going back to college or anything like that. You're going to just be, trying to live your life. And then, you're dealing with your children now. They're coming up. They're you got to do certain things, bills, added money for your children and things like that, education. And then by the time that finishes, you're like, in your 60s, and you got grandchildren. And if your child, as they have reported, that this generation of Americans is going to be poorer than the last generation, when you're a grandparent, you can be sure your grandchildren gonna be thrown on you for help. So then after you get too old for that, it's only the one thing left. If you don't have a strong family structure, and many of our homes are 70% of our homes are dysfunctional because they don't have a man in the home. You don't have a family structure. People start going out doing their own things. There's no family unit anymore, and so you find yourself being taken care of in an old folks' home. And this is the tragedy of America. Because if you go to those old folks' homes, you can see the dilapidated conditions because you got sick and you can't take care of yourself, and your children. You don't want to be a burden on your children. This is in your concept mind and being in America. You don't want to be a burden on your children, as if. And then you just take your Social Security money, give it to the old folks' home, and then they give you a bed and a room and somebody to watch over you so you don't pee on yourself. Then that's it. See, and all through America, they're there. This is the life you have. Okay. So when I say you come to modern Africa, think about it. What would happen if you brought your children here? Instead of being in a country where they're poorer than the previous generation, they would be part of a generation that's going to be even richer and have even more opportunities than you did. You're going to be in a gun-free society, safe. You're going to be in a place where there's no winter, no freezing temperatures. You see, you're going to have healthy foods. You're going to have people that respond to you. You know, people that say hello and good morning to you. People that are generally concerned about you. One of the tricks here, things that you should remember, O'Shea, is that when you're walking down the road and you find that they're playing music and somebody has died, yeah, you don't know them. You just see these guys and they got a little plate. Always put money in that plate. Always put money in that plate because people are watching you, especially as a foreigner, to see if you're concerned. So if you ever have a tragedy, you see the mob, when they come, somebody in the mob is gonna say, I know him. He's a good one. You see? And this is the thing. It's all about community when you come to Africa. It doesn't matter if you own your house or not. It's all about the community you live in and the relationships you have there. I live in a little community. There's like about 20 of us that are normal people that work there. You know, my wife owns a business right by my house, and I'm working like 2 minutes from my house. So we're just all together in this community. And my wife employs people. I employ people. So, people respect us. And then, I got people that I can go to, like if I need a soft loan, I can go, hey, look, I don't have any money. Can you just give me this and that? Sure, no problem. Because we're all living in the same community. Everybody knows each other. Okay? So this is the best life. You can't get that in the United States because the next door neighbor is probably Mexican who don't trust you, or probably white person who won't talk to you, or will call 911 on you the moment you raise up your music too loud. Mm-hmm. This is the life that you have, and you cannot know how bad you have it until you have something else to compare it to. But when you compare, don't try to compare from arrogance. That's the United States, like, okay, America is the best. I'm from America. America ain't shit. See, especially the way they treat our people. Mm-hmm. And another thing, blacks don't have money. Okay, Bill Cosby talked about it. John Gucci, all these people are telling you we don't have money. We are the lowest economic ladder. And get this straight: the African knows you don't got money. Even when you come to America, like with your chest all out, he know you poor. You go out there and you try to go to a club somewhere, and all the sexy ladies are running around there, and then you walk in and you start talking. They go, "Oh, you're from America." They come, they hug on you, and buy me a drink, and you like, "Yeah, this is cool." Then a white man come in and they just leave you like that because they know you don't have money. You understand what I'm saying to you?
Wait. So they know that African Americans don't have money.
They know.
How would they? How would they know this?
Because so many black people come. Okay, not so many, but the few that do come, they get a reputation. See, a white man will come, has money. He can take 5 chicks. He can be like the chick. Let's buy choma. Here's the money. Let's buy chicken and chips. Oh, here's the money. Come. He's staying in a really nice apartment. And you see, now the black guy comes. He's staying at Shady Mady Hotel because he looked for the best deal. And when the African chick come there, you staying at Shady Mady? So she there with you,
Shady,
because she there with you, but she on the phone telling her girlfriend, I'm here this year. Where you at? I'm at Shady Matey. Why are you with that guy? I'm with the Mzungu. The white guy over here, we're at the palace. What? I'm coming. Did she tell you, I gotta go for a minute, I'll be back, and she leave you? You see, and you don't know. So we need to stop that thing about we got it going on when you come to Africa, like you got some sort of special privilege because you come from America. No, the average African that don't deal with you, he would be impressed. But that ones that know you, they, and then African American, I got brothers that come here. Mm-hmm. I got a brother that came here. This boy rented $100,000 a month apartment. Brought the African chick to impress her into the apartment. I was there.
You mean 100,000 Kenyan shilling, right?
A month for a 3-bedroom house.
Like $1,000, yeah?
No, yeah. No,
yeah, 100,000 Kenyan shillings, okay.
Yeah, luxury. And the lady came in, she wasn't impressed. She got her own job. She don't need his money. She told him. So the guy got mad, started talking shit about her. And I'm looking at it like, man, why you gotta be like that? It's because you got African. I don't know. I can go back to the Philippines where my women, they appreciate me. I'm like, you ain't got nothing for them to appreciate. You're doing stock you're doing the stock market. From here, you get a little money in your bank account, and when you change it over to the Kenyan money, it's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But you ain't got nothing else, man. You don't have no family. This lady ain't gonna take you to her parents. You understand what I'm saying? You ain't got no respect. Mm-hmm. See, you don't have no cultural connection. Mm-hmm. These women ain't looking at you because of who you think you might, how you dress. They think about how I take this guy back to my parents, and this is what he can say. Mm-hmm. Say about him. You see, mm-hmm. I couldn't go to my woman's parents. I had to come get her, hold on to her, build her up, help her, support her. And then when we went to the parents, the dad surely asked her, do you want this guy? How is this guy? And I'm sitting there like, God damn, I've been with this girl 9 years, and she can just say no, and I'm done. You see? But luckily she said, oh, he's good to me. Oh, it's like, then they welcomed me into the family. They said to me, I'm now an African because I have now brought cows and married this woman, married the daughter of the guy, and I was accepted into the family. So you see, that is what, if I go to court, although it's not relevant, the judge is gonna ask me, have you married this woman? And I'm gonna say yes. See, so it's not the same as in the United States. We have to get out of that. We're not special. When you come here, you need to come here, and if you got children, this is the solution. If you can't come and you have children 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, prepare them to go to boarding school when they're like 13 years of age. Pull them out of American schools, send them to Africa, put them in a boarding school where they can be safe. Can't get pregnant, can't get into drugs, can't get into gangs, and they're 24 hours a day, they'll be there in a school environment and they'll be learning. There's nothing like 50% dropout rate. They can't like walk out. No. So you see, what you get after 14, 15, 16 to 18, you get a responsible child that has now African friends and a connection to the African country he's in.
Okay. And
so he can establish himself in the country where you couldn't. And then when you're too old, he can say, Dad, come here. And he can put you in a nice house somewhere, get you a house girl. I think you know about the house girl now, right?
No, I mean like a maid or something like that?
The maid, yeah, the house girl concept.
No, tell us what that's about.
Every house got a house girl.
Okay.
I got one in the environment. You see, where we wash our own clothes in America, it's nothing like that. We got a house girl who cooks, cleans the house and cooks the meals and takes care of the children. Mm-hmm. We pay her a salary, and that's what she does. Most African households that are growing have that. And it makes it so much easier because both my wife and I work, and she becomes part of the family. You understand what I'm saying? House girls are many. You can go around town and you see signs asking for house girls and see signs that are advertising house girls for jobs. This is a concept in Africa that's not in the United States. Mm-hmm. So, and this also eliminates a lot of prostitution among girls. Mm-hmm. Because these girls that don't have family or coming from up country trying to establish themselves mm-hmm. can take jobs as house help and then make a little money, and then maybe along the way they find a little young husband somewhere of their liking, and then they go off like that. See, so America, the African system, though it may seem strange to you, I would never take my kid to boarding school. I said the same thing, but now I see the great benefit of it. That's why you don't have teenage pregnancy in Africa, because most parents take their kids to boarding school, and it's cheaper than having them in a regular day school, coming home, having to feed them, having to do all the things that you have to deal with them, and then the kid can easily get pregnant coming home from school. So boarding school is the way to go. And this is another way you can get into Africa. Like I said, it don't have to happen right now, but you need to take this next generation of blacks that are really suffering and really got a lot of suffering coming their way with homosexuality out of the country.
Amen Rahh, when's the last time you've been to the United States?
I never went back after I left.
So you haven't been back to the United States in 20-something years?
No, I never went back. I was to go back, and I had the money to go back, and I called home excited, and I was like, what's going on? What's going on at home? And my cousin's like, nothing. I'm like, what's going on? What's how so-and-so? The same old thing, man. So I said, look, why would I spend this $1,900 going back home, and I'm just going to, and I can talk to him on phone all the time. So I said, why did that? So I took the money and went on a trip to 6 African countries. Best thing I ever did.
What countries did you go to?
Tanzania, Malawi. Oh, Malawi's nice. Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and then South Africa.
Mm-hmm. So let me shout out to Amazi for the super chat here. This time
I went by road. I went by road. I flew to South Africa once, then I came back, and then I took a road trip through these countries so I could see everything.
Let me shout out to Dr. Andow. This is why multiple health care providers from multiple Africans come to the United States. They don't get paid much. Shout out Dr. Andow. Look, man, I'm going back to Poland, man, pretty soon to take care of my business. But let me ask you this, because someone makes a good point in the chat, Amen Rahh. All right, Amen Rahh, I know you said that Africa is rising, is modernizing, but if there's so much, for example, I know Qatar is a small country, so it's kind of hard to say, but you don't see Qataris trying to leave Qatar and trying to come to
that's nonsense.
Right, try to come to America. Why is it that if you were to go to any embassy anywhere in Africa, the line is long? People are paying money to get visas. People are trying to come to America. Africans are the biggest black group in America as far as the population that's growing. Why are so many Africans coming to America if Africa is so modernized?
I've been hearing this. We done went through this thing 1,000 times. Let me just say like this. So when the African gets to America, what does he see? Does he see the land of milk and honey? You know what he sees. He sees the same thing you see. He sees that this shit ain't what they said on television. And where he gets his idea, the African today gets his idea about America from television. All these movies. When they're watching a movie, when you're watching a movie, you're looking at the action and the characters and the dialogue that's going on with the actors in the movie. You're trying to follow the storyline. When an African looks at an American movie, he's looking at the background. He's looking at the streets, the clean roads. He's seeing like the actors don't have no concept of what problems with money. The actors are always living in nice houses. So he gets this concept in his mind that America must be a great place because I've seen it on TV. And we all know that's not the reality. And he finds that out when he gets there. Not all Africans are going. It's 1.2 billion. They ain't all trying to come there. So don't think you got it going on in America because you think like Africans is breaking their neck to come to America. I have sent Africans to America and I've seen them come right back because they find that it's not what they thought it was. Okay, but a lot of times the African is forced to stay there because of cultural reasons. The parents put together the money to send their child to America, and it is considered insult or an embarrassment to the parent when in her community when she says I sent my child to America. That's a good thing. But when the child comes back, that's an embarrassment to the parent. So when the child goes to America and calls home and tells mom, this is not like what I thought it was, the parent is going to tell the child, you don't come back. You keep working, you keep trying. And this is what happens to a lot of Africans. You see them parking your cars. You see them serving your food in the restaurant. Do you think that's what they really want to do? No, they just making money, and they want to take it back home. This is so like so many other countries. The disparity between the dollar and the African shilling is like 100 to 1. Now, if you in America, and I told you that for every dollar you have in America, I'm gonna give you $10. I'm gonna give you $10 when you come to Africa. You'd be swimming, you'd be flying, you'd be rushing to go to Africa because your money would triple and double. So when you turn it around and see that the African is saying the same thing about America, his money is if he gets that same money and he comes back to his country, he can have more. So these black Americans that are trying to say like Africa's not that great because so many Africans is trying to leave. Not so many are trying to leave, and many that go come back. And the second thing is, the United States government doesn't keep statistics on who goes back. Okay, so conveniently, because when I tried to check, that's what they told me. They don't keep records of who goes back. So,
who's dying in the background?
It's some cultural group. Some cultural group, they just do like that. They'll be finishing in a minute, I guess. I don't know. I don't even know why they're here. I think they just here because they hear me talking. Maybe they just want to be yelling. But I'm in an institution, and they rent these rooms around here, and then they do their own things. So,
how often do they do that?
They praying. They do it on Sunday. And today is what? Thursday? I don't understand why they do it. Maybe they practice for Thursday.
Let me ask you this. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, right? A lot of things, and because I was talking to you about before the show started, that certain things in Africa just don't make no goddamn sense. And that's one thing that African Americans. I don't get me wrong. There are some similarities between Black Americans and African Americans, more so than what we know. Like I'm convinced. We came from this continent. There's no doubt in my mind. People talking about we from Aboriginal. I don't believe that shit. Until you come to Africa, you gonna know that, yeah, okay, that's where we came from. For sure. There's no doubt about that. Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind that because even be removed for them from so long and to have so many similarities, it's crazy to see how similar people are without even having like been there. But at the same time, though, there are some things that don't make no goddamn sense. How do you deal with that?
Okay, you just have to be patient because you're not that smart. You should, we try to come up with like we're from America. We know, and you don't know. You think the African is stupid, and then how many times have I made myself realize how stupid I was when I was complaining about something and I didn't see the end all. Case in point, going to boarding school, taking my kids to boarding school. I fought against that with my woman for a long time, and at the end of the day, I lost. But at the time when it happened, I realized I was stupid because it's obviously the best thing. But let me take this show down to get it off of PG and bring it down to rated R for a minute.
Okay.
Shay, you in Uganda?
Yes, sir.
The women.
Oh yeah, that's yeah.
Look at you trying to be.
These are the most attractive Black women I have ever seen anywhere in my life. No doubt about that. I will give them that. Yes.
And friendly.
To a certain degree, yes. More so than back home.
Yeah, and non-combative.
That's true. Yes.
And non-cursing.
That's true.
Yeah. And generally looking out, because in Uganda, the women there are really they really know their place about dealing with, when it comes to dealing with the African man. And their job is to serve you and help you and support you. And that's embedded in their culture, and they do a really great job of that. And one of the things that a lot of Black men in their 30s and 40s don't realize in America, they're dealing with these crazy women. Not all Black women are crazy. Let me repeat: not all Black women are crazy, but a lot of our women are educated by soap operas, which don't give Black men put Black men in the proper light. Like for example, the number one show, the TV show Empire. There's not one black man that has a positive relationship with a black woman on the show. So you are what you do. If you're not in college and you're just watching TV shows, that's what's educating your mind, because the mind can't think of things that it doesn't know, that it doesn't see. So when you get the African woman, it's a great refreshment, and you can let your guard down, and she can be much more honest with you, and you can see the security of giving her children and the responsibility to take thereof.
Are you saying that African women are more honest than African American women?
No, I'm not. No, I'm saying the African woman is much more honest
than African American women.
Of course.
Ooh, okay. Why do you say that?
I say that because they're bound more by culture, where the African American woman is not bound by any culture. So she can lie to the black man, and then it's be like it's no problem. But in culture in Africa, you have to respect your man, and part of that is being truthful. Most of the modern Africans are Christians, and then in Christianity, they are taught one of the good things about it is to be honest and don't lie. And so many of them are trained not to do that. So you find that there's not a lot of secret. I mean, not secret, but the lifestyle that black women have, and their social connections tend to make them more susceptible to different type of scenarios in the day-to-day life where they would not tell their man. You see, like they might have somebody on social media that stalks them. They might not tell their man that. You see, and this is there. They might have girlfriends who have turned to be homosexuals and try to have sex with them. They may not tell their man these type of things. But you see, these type of social things that are in the United States are not so prevalent in Africa. So the woman is just basically straightforward. See, and then she has parents and she has family members who, some of them she's competing with. Like if you get this girl and she got a sister, and the sister is married and having children, and the husband is doing her right, she's gonna do you right because she wants to make sure that she don't fall out of line. It would be totally embarrassing to her. Where in America, family structure is not so important. So if you got a sister that man even talk to them. You see. So these are the things that inside areas where you have to look at. So the black man in America and the African in Africa is nothing if he doesn't have a woman that's to verify him. In other words, you ain't no man if you don't have a woman that says he's okay. And what drives us at the end or what drives us is that ability to get between to get to heaven. And
okay.
You know what I'm saying? Dr. Ben said it, the heaven is between the black woman's legs, and we strive to get there. But we want to talk about it on a PG show. But in actuality, you have much more opportunity and a better chance of being successful in a great relationship with a black woman in Africa than you do in today's modern U.S. America, because now they got all these other concepts that are confusing people. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying all black women. I'm not saying all black women get mad at me, ladies. Hey, but I'm just saying that's the case.
I will say this. I mean, I haven't lived in Africa like you have, so obviously you have more experience because you've been there for 27 years. But I will say this, and this is not to offend anybody as far as Africans. If I want to talk about who are more of a truthful and upfront group of people, there are no group of black people in the world that let you know where you stand like African Americans. And there are no group of women out there that let you know where you stand with them more than African American women as a whole. African women are not as truthful. They're not as forthcoming. And they have a lot more, although they're not as argumentative, and they don't fight, and they don't stuff like that. But they have a lot more. They have a lot more schemes. They have a set up, and they could totally not be interested in you. But as far as lying, I will have to say, in my opinion, African women that I've dealt with in all countries that I've been are way more or have a way lack of morals in comparison to African American, in my opinion.
I give you what you're saying in your opinion, because I was hanging those women that are looking for foreigners. Those, they know where to get you, and when they spot you, they can make themselves available to you. You got to get past that group to the actual real African woman who's just normal. I mean, prostitution, and I'm not saying it was with prostitutes, but professional women are, are a society that has been here since the beginning of time. They was dealing with the sailors that's coming from all foreign countries, and they passed that down from generation to generation on how to deal with foreigners. And they make themselves out to be this clean, honest person, but that's their job. And there are certain things you got to look for to show to bring her out, to know who she is. For instance, she don't have no job, but she got money. She ain't got no. Her family is up country, but she's just here by herself. She got girlfriends that are in that type of field. You know, you got to look at them. But those are not the ones you go for. The ones you go for are the ones that got family, the ones that won't talk to you. You gotta, you gotta really go after them. You ain't gonna find them at the club. You're gonna find them. Okay, you might find them in the church, or you might find them on the job, or you might find them in transition to going back and forth from wherever they are going. And those persons that woman's gonna tell you right from the beginning, I can't even talk to you until you talk to my family. And that's when you know you got a good one. Those ones, not the professional ones. I have been caught many times by them. And then imagine I was caught by them, still loving them, and then I was trying to change them. And you cannot change a professional woman. You cannot make a blank a housewife. So that's the rule in Africa.
I will also say this too. When it comes to and guys, do me a favor. 190 people watching right now. Get the likes up. We're here with Amen K Rahh. We have a very entertaining show. Get the likes up, everybody on the podcast. Amen K Rahh will also say this. Africa is a very young place, young continent, right? And what I'm seeing is there's a lot more single motherhood that's happening in the millennial situations and this new generation that we have from 18 to 30. These young women, I think, are much different than the women that you were experiencing when you first came to the continent. I think it was a much better society then, but with the invention of the internet and this young population, right? This 18 to 30, this group does not know how to cater, number one, to its own men, and that's my opinion, and they definitely are not able. They are just in the same situations as African American women. In my case, not even, if not worse, because one thing that African American women will give you is some form of affection. Like, that's one thing that a lot of brothers go to Dominican Republic or they go to Brazil. But one thing that black women will give you is some form of love, some form of affection. African women are really not like that, man.
They're not like that. They're like, and let me say this.
Women, they're not loving. They're not loving. They're not really like that. They could be in bed. Oh my God, are they like doorknobs?
Let me tell you about that. Let me tell you about that. Okay. And then before I say that, let me say I have to agree with you. This newer generation is less, like you were saying. I have to agree with you on that. I've been seeing that. Many of them are being single, and that is coming from the internet and watching these TV shows that are coming podcasts from the U.S. On the issue of black women and infection, this thing of black women, they're much more adapted to that life of how to have sex, how to be affectionate. We get a lot of that information in pornographic stuff like that, where the African woman is not exposed to it. So you tend to get a woman that is not so affectionate, and she doesn't even understand that. And in fact, in some cultures, like my woman, in her culture, they're not like all the time, this is just part of it. But when you go around the world, you'll find that a lot of women, even in Asia, they're not the kind of people that go around holding hands and hugging in public and things like that. This is more like a European concept that they started in Western capitalistic system. And we have this idea in our mind that you have to be loving, showing affection all the time, and Africans don't really do that in public. So we have to make that adjustment. And when you come here dealing with the African woman, but turn out the lights. There's very little difference when it comes down to the, end game.
I mean, and it also, in my opinion, there's also a great deal of entitlement. Like, for example, in America, women are more likely to want to meet a man more halfway on a lot of things, whether it's emotionally, whether it's other stuff like that. That's what I've noticed about the Black American culture. Some things I do like, and then we've got that obviously from being in the greater America. In Africa, most women are looking for is like, they are so entitled, man. Like, okay, like for example, American women want you. Black women in America are more concerned more about your attention. Like,
well,
but let me just say this. Let me say this. Whereas African women that I've met across all 4 countries, it's like, they automatically feel like you should get them a phone because you're from America. You should get them. You should do this. You should do that for them.
You're dealing with the club woman.
No. I'm talking about. I mean, it's only been a bit. Now there have been women that have never asked me for free, but most of all, women of all kind of genres, they feel like they're entitled to stuff without them doing anything. More so, I've seen it in Africa than I've seen it anywhere else. At least in America, women are at least want to at least try to do something. You know what I mean? Meet you halfway. And we all know that non-Black women do that much better than Black women at all. But in Africa, they don't feel like they ought to do shit. Just, I got a fat ass, you ought to do it for me.
Different than Kenya. Uganda is different than Kenya. Women that there are different. Most women here are working. I mean, they're not talking about dealing with a man like that. Most modern Kenyans women work. So
how much are they getting paid though?
Huh?
I mean, how much are they getting paid? They still ain't making shit.
Okay, they're supposed to make a lot of money. I'm sorry, you're looking at things from a capitalistic
point of view. Let's be honest. Women have needs, right? You got to be honest. Women have makeup. They have certain things they need for their period and all that stuff. They have the cell phone they got to have. They got to look nice. So obviously, women tend to have they need more money because it's more expensive being a woman than it is being a man. So obviously, we got to take those things into consideration.
I'm saying my wife owns a beauty salon. And I see hundreds of women coming through the salon all the time getting their hair done. They do have money. Then I hear my wife tells me, okay, I'm not supposed to say that, but my wife telling me stories. But I don't really get into the story. But anyway, I hear stories about what the ladies they have done with this guy and the man. I get all of that. I've seen all of that. There are those kind of women that are there, and then there are not those kind of women that are there are other women that are not there. So I don't think that you should try to typecast the African woman like that. Like you can't look at music. The Black American woman in the United States is running around with 70% of the households headed by Black women. There is a disconnect. Okay, there's a disconnect for Black women and Black men somewhere. We can't act like that don't exist. And there's no real comparison with the African woman in her country and the Black American woman as a minority in a racist country. You just can't compare the two. She's got psychological damage the same way we do. Now, me personally, I've been married, got a wedding, and went to Lake Tahoe. I did the whole marriage thing. I had a relationship, and I've been in a polygamous relationship for 5 years in the United States. One African and one African American. I have lots of experience with giving birth to children, raising them. No one can say that I don't know the difference between African women and African American, because like I said, I was in a polygamous relationship in Los Angeles for 5 years with my African woman and my African American woman. We lived in the same house.
Okay.
So if anybody knows about the whole situation, I know. And what happened with the African woman is she became more westernized as the time went on, and she changed to be more like the Black woman that I was with. And the relationship started to fail when my Black woman went through like a what's that called, midlife crisis, and decided that she wanted to be independent. watching all these movies and TV shows told her that I don't need no man. I need to be independent. And so she started working on a relationship, and she got out of the relationship. What was the problem with that? She was being selfish towards our children, because when she forced us to break in the relationship, she automatically took over the kids and said, I'm gonna raise the kids by myself. I'm gonna be the one in control. I'm gonna decide on what school they go to. You see? And so what was I supposed to do? You get what I'm saying? What was I supposed to do from that? As a black man in America, I wanted to have a family. You took my family and you took it from me. And then what do? You see? So we had planned to come to Africa together as a family, but all that went out the window when she decided that she needed to be independent and want to do her own thing. You see? So this is just my personal situation, but it's a lot of people that go through these same situations in the United States.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me ask: do you still do the polygamous thing now, or no?
No, my wife is always telling me you need to get another woman. You know, and I'm like, no, I'm tired. I did that. I'm tired. But if the opportunity was right and it came about in the right way, definitely. If I had another woman that was working, and she didn't mind being, her present situation, she didn't have a man and she had children, something like that, I could support her as her man, and then move forward. I can get some benefits from that as a man, and then because my wife's family come from polygamous relationships, so it's not like it's nothing that's not there. And remember, in Kenya, it is the law. You can marry more than one woman. They put that in the law. So
same in Uganda.
they serious. And that was just new. That was just recently, like 4 years ago. They put in the law that a man can marry more than one woman. So I forget it's progressing, but that certain things that are there are still important and still happening.
What up? All right. So let me ask you this then. Okay, if you're living in Mombasa, if an African American brother can make $3,000 a month, would that be a good salary that a brother could live out there with?
He'd be a millionaire. He'd be living like a millionaire. He'd be wasting a lot of that money. You only need like $400 or $500 a month to live comfortably and survive. So anybody that has got a pension or a pension, is it called a pension, a 401k1, or you got early retirement money, definitely you need to look into moving to modern Africa. You need to spool your money together, take a information trip, come here, see. I'll be glad to show you around, make you see that you were making a mistake by living in the United States, paying high exorbitant rents for a little bit of property. And you can be living in a safe environment. You get all your cable channels, all your Netflix is all here. So you ain't missing nothing. Club life, you got places to go that's almost endless compared to what you would have in the United States city where you might live, like if you lived in Inglewood or somewhere like that. And the lifestyle would do you well, do you good. Fresh food all the time, good people, no guns, no drugs. You got a wonderful life here, and you just get a paycheck every month. I got friends that are from America. My friend, they got a lady, she's 70 years old. She's a retired school teacher. She live better than me. She just gets a check. You know what I'm saying? So she's got a wonderful life. Got a little apartment like that. And I look at her, and I'm supposed to go for her. She's supposed to make some hamburgers this weekend. I gotta remember to make sure I go. So
okay.
Yeah, we get there and talk about home. She got a wonderful life story, and she just came here on a visit, and then she found a Kenyan man, a younger man, and she just been in love with him, and then he's been in love with her, and it's got a wonderful life. So these things are possible here, and especially for black women. Because they don't really the Kenyan men don't discriminate like you're a foreigner. No, if he love you, he love you. If he decides you're the one, you're the one. You see?
Okay, but let me ask you this: if she's 70, how old is the guy?
I think the guy is almost 60.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the guy's almost 60. Yeah, Ferdinand. Okay, goddamn, if I'm making people's names on TV. But anyway, yeah. So yes, okay. Shout out to Ferdinand and Francesca. I'll be there on Saturday for my hamburgers. And then, so the life is wonderful. You know what I'm saying? you know, she got a car, she drives something. I don't drive at night anymore, you know, because it's too dark. Okay, fine. You see, but she can go where she wants to, and she's 70. You see what I mean? She got a big screen TV, she got phones, got a laptop, got beautiful big kitchen, wash machine, dryers, you know. She's just set. And nothing like that she could have on her salary if she was in the US.
How much do you pay a month for? I mean, stuff like that. You know.
Okay, yeah. You see, this is the point. You don't need a lot of money. And if you can get an income of $400, $500 a month,
Mhm.
I can show you how you can live very comfortably. But if you just come here on your own, brother, and think you're gonna do everything on your own, it's a mistake. You're gonna waste money, you're gonna make mistakes, and it's gonna cost you money when you can get somebody to give you the rope, set you down, settle you in. You ain't gotta pay me. Okay? And I ain't got to tell nobody that I helped you. But don't come here thinking like I'm gonna listen to Dama's video and then I'm gonna sneak around and do the thing myself. No, that's stupid. That's a problem with us. You know, and it comes out of fear of people taking advantage of us, and you need to stop that. So me, I'm culturalized African here. My brothers from the US come, and many of them have come here, and I have helped them, saved them lots of money and embarrassment, and then they go on their way. You see? If they got a question, they can call me and ask me, oh, I mean, what do you think about this deal? This person came to me and told me this and that, and I'll be like, that's a good deal. You should have took it. You see? Or that's not a good deal. You shouldn't take it. You see? But you have to, I mean, it's your life, but I mean, why come and make the same mistakes everybody make every time? Like trying to come here and live higher than your means, or get you a really nice apartment because the paint look good, and you 300-400 meters from the nearest shop. So, you know, I can help you with those things and make your stay here be much more enjoyable and introduce you to people that you would normally not meet. That can be good friends with you. So that's what I'm saying. You don't have to stay in America. You might think you do, but this is all the propaganda that make you think that you should stay in America, because the greatest fear of the white man is for blacks to leave this country, leave the United States in mass numbers. Let's say it again. The greatest fear of the white man is not marching, not rioting, not picketing, you know, not asking for reparations. The greatest fear of the white man is in the world is the black man leaving the country in mass. And the same in Britain. And this is why they put these propaganda shows and propaganda news that cost billions of dollars they spend on propaganda to make Africa look bad so that you don't leave. Let me say that again. They spend billions of dollars. This is why I'm telling you, this is their worst fear. Because internationally, they would be an embarrassment if a large group of black people said they're tired of the United States, they're moving to Africa. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine what would happen if Bill Cosby or Michael Jackson or R. Kelly just said, look, let me just leave this country and go live in Africa? Dave Chappelle did it. He went off to Africa, and when he came back, they gave him millions of dollars. You see? Because the whole key here is that from the very beginning, when we was enslaved, they didn't want the slave in America to be connected to the African in Africa. That's why they hate that. They fear that more than anything. But that's why you don't know it, because it's a fear. They keep it hidden from you. So when you see these white people telling you go back to Africa, they don't ever follow up on that. You see, because they know that's not really what they want. They need us here so they can prove to their woman that they're better. They're better than the African, so the white woman stay with them. And going to the beginning of this, in 1669, they created a white man, and then they made it a law that no white woman could be with a non-white man. If you go with an African, you'd be subject to slavery. Go read your history. And that's when they started identifying themselves as white men and white women and Africans, or they call it non-Africans at first, but by the 1681, they was all straight out, African descendants. Yeah, go look at the Constitution. They wrote that shit into law, saying that the black man was nothing, and they've been keeping us down ever since. And what you need to really look at is this: you a black man, you in America. Some of you got jobs, you comfortable, you don't see no problem. That you in a little, enclave, you okay? That's fine. I'm not asking all black people to leave the country. I'm not asking all, but there are some black people like me who's special. Some black people out there that try to rise up, and then they were knocked back down because of racism. I'm talking to you. you now in your 30s and going into your 40s, and you don't see a structural uh, rise in your income or your opportunities in life, because they're very few and far between.
Mhm.
Africa is your solution, because the land of opportunity is Africa. What they say the American dream was in 2008, they came on TV and told you the American dream is now if you get an apartment. You see, and 50% of blacks lost their wealth in the 2008 crisis. We still suffering behind that, but we're suffering in silence because we Negroes, and we believe that we can ignore the facts in front of us. That's what Negroes do. They're good at ignoring, and they're good at ignoring the history. But you on the Titanic, and the Titanic is sinking.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
let me do this real quick, and let me go ahead and read off some super chats. Stephen Scott O'Shea, is your opinion African American women are better than African women? In my opinion, absolutely 300% yes. That's my opinion, though. I'm talking about the generation that you have now. But let me also, the brother, Perfect Storm. I'm headed to Nairobi in September. Any quick tips? Go ahead. You have some tips. I'll get some tips too. But go ahead, Amara.
If you're coming for the first time, right now you should be making your contacts on Facebook and WhatsApp. African in Kenya, they use WhatsApp more than any other thing, social media nowadays, and use WhatsApp and to communicate, get friends, get contacts. It's all about people who you know. Don't be embarrassed to call and tell people that I'm an African American, I'm coming, and I don't know nobody. Don't be afraid. I know it's people, we fear that somebody would take advantage of that in the United States, but Africans are not like that. Get as many contacts as possible. When you first arrive in Nairobi, no matter what your contacts tell you come to your house, come to their house, come stay with them. Don't do it. Get a hotel room first for like 3 or 4 or 5 days so you can get acclimated to the place. And then after you get situated and you have your home base, you can better deal with the African. They can better deal with you, okay? Because they know you have an ability to establish yourself. You're not like a burden. Because this is the impression that some Africans will get if you come straight from the airport and then go live with some strangers that you don't know. Mm-hmm. So get your hotel room, start a bit high in the hotel room, and then you can always find hotels that are cheaper if you decide to go that route. And I would suggest that you go to the lower, cheaper hotels instead of staying in the high-price hotels, because you can't really meet the actual Africans if you at the higher up you go, the more elite dealing with people that you won't know the real true African. And then you run into like problems there, and you might run out of money faster, twice as fast, when you can stay in a lower end hotel. Nobody's gonna care about you. It's not America. It's not a capitalistic system like people gotta see what you make. I gotta look like I'm shining. No, it's not like that. People deal with you on your personality. You're gonna have a lot of fun in Kenya. They got all these ways you can go to do traveling. If you go the route where you start dealing with tourism and people taking you around, the taxi cab driver, these people are the ones who deal with foreigners. You will not meet the real African unless you break away from that. So I can get with me and I can give you some more details on how to meet the average African. If you're in a field, particular field, you want to meet Africans in that same type of field that you're in. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of great ideas as an African American that are probably not in Africa. You don't know that, but when you come here, you can start relating and see where you can fit in. The one thing that happens in Africa, if you're going to come here to live and you're going to come here and work, is you must make yourself invaluable. Okay, whatever you do, job or business, make yourself invaluable. That's a key. That's a normal thing that they would tell you on any self-help group. So those kind of points would really help you. In fact, I recommend you start listening to these I'm thinking Tom, and I can't think of the guy's name. Can you imagine? I'm tired, but these self-help groups like Grant Cardone, I really like him. 10x your business, huh? Get into that mindset, listen to his tapes, but then you use that concept when you come to Africa, and you find it'll work a lot better for you as an African, because there's no racism that you have to get into.
Let me throw my little sense on this. I've been to Kenya twice, right? And I am filming Kingana for my YouTube channel there. So what I will say, I'm gonna rise everything, is right about everything. I have some personal contacts Like when Marcus A. Brown went to Kenya, I had him get picked up by my boy John out there. Shout out to African Tigress. I met her through Woden Maya and Miss Trudy. So I have some people like Dr. Moombi is a good friend of mine. She's out in Nairobi. So it's certain people's that I would be able to know that could probably put you on the ground. I have some camera guys there. So hopefully by the time you get there, I'll be able to have some other people. Also, I want to say in terms of like if you're a person that wants to use the internet a lot, then you want to check on Airbnb. It depends on like if you want the more of an African experience. Okay, cool. If you're a person like me, you work on the laptop, you work on the internet. Airbnb, you're gonna want to see how fast is the internet connection. They use two internet providers that I would say is pretty good. One is Safaricom, and then you have Zuku. Safaricom, okay.
Okay, yeah, my business depends on internet, so I know all of the carriers and things like that. Safaricom is the best one. And Safaricom is actually the best deal. You can use 100 shillings a day for 1 gigabyte of information, and it's high speed 4G.
Okay.
So if you have a phone that is for 4G, yeah, you can do everything you want with the internet, YouTube, all of that. It will work well. Internet is not a problem in Africa, like some people may think. Imagine I travel from Mombasa to Nairobi, and I could be online or doing the whole trip through the national park. I'm still watching YouTube. You see, sending messages. They got it going on, and they've been having it going on since 2012. So as far as the internet and keeping up with the most powerful line, so Safaricom is the best. You can afford that one. The other ones are don't even try. Because
do you have Zuku? Do you have Zuku? What do you think about? I mean, I love Zuku fiber. I've used it in Tanzania. I'm using it now.
Zuku fiber is there, but now where you gonna go with it? You got your phone. You can have a hotspot anywhere you go.
What I'm saying is
for a bus, but I can't do that with Zuku.
Well, the thing about it is for me, and I deal with like for my YouTube channels, big files, Google Drive documents, Dropbox. If you're a guy like that and you need stuff like that, you're gonna need like fiber internet. And when you go on Airbnb, you always ask the person, how fast is your internet? Never let them tell you that it's just fast. I always ask, how fast? Because you gotta tell them my business depends. Like one guy, he told me his internet was as fast as it was. I did a speed test as it wasn't. I was threatening to go to Airbnb on him. He went and he went and got Zuku fiber the same day and changed it because he didn't want me to leave him a bad review. So whatever they tell you that it is, you make sure to tell you it is. Now, some people will tell you, and you always message the person before. Always look at the amenities on Airbnb and ask them what it is. Because where I'm at right now, and I have actually a new video that I'm going to post for you brothers on Kinganda. I'm staying at Leonia Apartments in Kampala. So if you ever want to come to Kampala and you want to get 20 megabits per second, 30 megabits per second, up to 40, come here, and I'm going to upload that video for you, brothers, just in case when you come to Uganda, you have good internet speed and you can run your whole business as you would be able to do as if you were in the U.S. So you want to ask those questions. Westlands is close to, obviously, what's the mall called? Westgate. I mean, it's close to over there.
They have several new malls in Kenya. One of the best ones now is Two Rivers Mall.
Yeah, it's way out. It's kind of far, right? Yeah,
game changer. Hey, if you went out to Two Rivers Mall, isn't Kenya beautiful? Can you see that?
Yeah, it's very nice. It's very nice. Wow. It's pretty far from Westlands, but it is nice. I went out there at Woden Maya. It's very beautiful.
Yeah. You see, and this is the things that are happening in Kenya, and they have a big giant Ferris wheel now that they just opened up at Two Rivers Mall. So a lot of Kenyans are doing that. But this is I think you see this. This is a I don't know, I'm gonna call it an internet stick. I'm surely tired now. But this is the thing where you plug into your laptop and you can get 4G speed, which is the highest rating. And you put your SIM card inside here, and you can go anywhere with any device, and that device can get internet. But on your phone, we have what you call hotspot, or Wi-Fi. And I'm using Wi-Fi on my phone right now for this connection. And That one lets you have the freedom to have internet and connections anywhere, wherever you go in your pocket. So internet in Africa is not something that is a problem. And I use the internet every day, and I've never really had a serious problem as long as I use Safaricom. Only when I'm on Dynasty's show is when the thing goes haywire. I don't know why.
Let me just do this real quick and uh basically let me just shout out some of the people here. You know, we'll go ahead on and end it. And it was a
Long
good,
story.
really really good show. Yeah, you. It's always fun. It's always fun. So let me shout out to Tony Davis, always supporting my brother 999 for the super chat. My brother Anti Gravity, who his family's is here in Nairobi. He talked about me. Him talked about his experience here. But let me also talk about Andy. Africa is the future. It's not for everyone, but if you choose to make it happen, you can make it. Stephen Scott, African American women are better, in my opinion. Yes. Anti gravity. Brothers in here arguing about being American and not African. Meanwhile, Chinese, Europeans, Indians, etc., are in Africa making a fortune, but not African Americans. That is a very powerful comment, brother. I gotta
Yeah.
agree with what he's saying. That is the truth.
But I'm here. And here to tell you.
No,
I'm an example. You missing out. Especially if
yeah,
you're young, like 30, you're missing out big time.
yeah. And let me just say this real quick. You know, even though I wouldn't consider myself a Pan Africanist per se, some people might say because like I'm highly like very African American in tribalistic thing. I do want to tell black people it's good being in Africa, right? I think it has its challenges, but everybody's black. You have opportunities. For example, I want to interview this Uber guy. He's an Uber driver,
Uh-huh.
and he drives Uber. He has one car out
Mm-hmm.
in Uganda, because Uber is so popular also in Kenya. You have guys that are buying like they're spending like $3,000 buying cars, and then they have other guys driving the cars for them in Uber, and they're making like money that way. And
Mm-hmm.
it's even cheaper to get into it in Africa. And so there's
Yeah.
opportunities like that if you
Transportation.
yeah
Transportation is one of the biggest money makers in Africa. You can go from the motorcycle border border to the
yeah
tuk-tuk to the minivan, which is the Nissan, and to the larger matatu. General Motors makes all of the matatus
hmm
in Kenya. So and then I think they're in Uganda too. But
yeah they're in Uganda.
anytime you see a Zuzu, that's General Motors.
Yeah. So, there's people out here making money, man. There's one guy from the Congo. Yeah, I want to talk to him before I leave. And we talked about it. And he's actually a Congolese guy. He drives Uber every day. He's making about $25 a day. That don't seem like a lot of money, in America, but in here,
That's a lot
it's
of money.
it's a lot. It's a lot of money. And if you have two or three or four or five cars that are making $10 a day, $10 a day, $10 a day profit, and then you can have 20 cars out on the road. I mean, man, that's a whole another business. So there's people out here that have money like that, man. Don't
They
get
making money.
these people got big
They
money
making
in Africa.
They make them. See, I've been here for some years, and I have friends who I saw. Like, okay, there's these two boys. They were young, like 18, 19, and their parents died. And the parents left them a small hotel. I mean, a small, like apartment building. But it's like a Swahili apartment. People who know what I'm talking about mean Swahili apartment. And they rented out the rooms to those apartments, and then they were just young guys. They used to blast music and all this and that. Then they grew up, and then they got wives. They had wives. Then they had tragedy with the wives, and they broke up with the wives. Then they settled down. Then they got another wife, and then they started having children. And then they moved out of that building into their own, life. Like one of them went to school for pharmacy, and now he's working he's a pharmacist at a pharmacy. And I remember he was just a young kid, had nowhere to go. The other one is in the transport industry, and I saw him the other day, and I was like, oh, so I see you moved out of the house. He's like, yeah, I moved to Bambalulu Estate. And if you know what he was saying, he was like, Bambalulu is like the jungle in LA, but he moved it to the estate. So it's like he moved to Baldwin Hills Park,
Mm-hmm.
and it was what he was trying to tell me. And I just look at them. I remember when they were young boys, but this is the history of Africans. I've seen this transition, and it would be the same with us, and the same with our children because of the opportunities of growth. There are many jobs, and you don't see the young people today not running around jobless because with the Chinese developing infrastructure, they begging for people to come and help them build the roads. So at the bottom line, you're gonna find a job no matter what at the end of the day. So yeah, and in America, you're not getting that. And you know, you can put your kid to go to a job, get on a job, and then some homosexual crazy person start, enticing them into some gayism acts, and it's nothing you can do. You see, and then they gonna see that in their curriculum in school. They're gonna see that on every movie and TV show today. Got to have some sort of homosexual scene in it. And this fight to be an American and fight to have the white man's American lifestyle. While you're fighting for that lifestyle, he's changing it. He's changing it, developing into homosexuality, pedophilia. So many whites are on drugs and dealing in heroin. They're dying off like that. You're falling for all of that, and you're in a superpower that is almost any day now putting back the draft. Because they're trying to build up their military because they're gonna have to because they're competing more and more with China and Russia. And one day they're gonna put on the draft and say you can't leave the country. You gotta go to the Army, Navy, or the Marine Corps. And this is what's coming. Look at the history of superpowers. China's a superpower now. Italy was once a superpower. Britain was once a superpower. These superpowers, they come and they go. Okay? Britain used to be sun never sets on the British Empire. They ain't got nothing now. And the United States had its time, and that time is dying. They're going to be like Britain. They're going to be quiet. You see, Greece used to be a superpower, but now look at it. They're begging the worst country off in the European Union. Italy today was in a recession for the whole entire year of 2018.
Yeah, that's
Italy
true.
is in recession, and they used to be a superpower, the Roman Empire. You understand what I'm saying? So when you Negroes is banking on the United States gonna be one, that ain't gonna stay. It's dying off now, and you need to get out of it while you can, so that your children can have a better lifestyle in a place where they fit in. They don't fit in America. You minority. Get that straight. I'm African American, but my children are all Kenyan, all African. You see, they're gonna reap the benefits. But what your benefits is a black kid in America gonna benefit from if they telling you that the next generation is gonna be poorer than the next, and if they telling you that by 2050 blacks will have zero income. That's what they telling you. So how are you gonna sit up in the fucking video and on the fucking chat? I'm gonna stay and fight in America. For every gun a black person got, white people got 9 guns, and they've been waiting for you to come out and try to shoot somebody. See, if you better hope that no crazy black person go out and start shooting whites, because they're gonna target all of you. And the educational system, as hard as it is for you to try to get your kids into college, you just found out white people is cheating and paying money to get their kids in, even though they don't qualify. You ain't living in a society of honest people. You ain't living in no society where they're gonna give you equal treatment. They've never given you equal treatment since the time you came to America. And you think ADOS gonna talk with a hashtag gonna make the white man say here's trillions of dollars to the black man? He ain't gonna never give it to you. He ain't gonna never give it. This is just a pipe dream. Dr. Claude Anderson went for reparations 4 or 5 years ago, and he failed. Because if you don't get white people to respond to help you, you ain't got a goddamn chance of getting no reparations. And last I heard, I ain't seen no white prominent person come up and say black people need to get reparations. Now I know you're gonna be on the chat like, no, oh, I've seen it. White people got to do this. Oh, I've seen white people are helping us. Oh, ADOS forever. I'm ADOS till I die. You just making up statements. Too many of us have already died. The white man knows what he's doing. Go back and look at the people that they hung on trees. Those people was in suits. They wasn't the field hands. They was killing off black prominent people that had businesses and taking them over. Go look at Black Wall Street. You already know the story. They burnt that shit down. Chicago, exactly in June, it'll be exactly 100 years ago. They burnt out the black people in Chicago, pushed them all out, and burnt their community. And they've been doing that. They did that last 100 years. In the 100 years before that, they did it. And this time, when you get mad and you start talking about I demand, they're gonna burn you out. But unfortunately, they don't have to burn you out because you don't have a black community anymore. There's no more black community. What's the name of black community? Do you know what black community is? A black community is when you own everything, the land, the banks, the land, the housing, where is that in the United States for black people? You're dying off slowly but surely, and you don't realize it. You're on the Titanic, it's sinking, and you're gonna take your children down with you at your own detriment. And at the end of the day, you're gonna be saying, what? I'm fighting for mine. I built America. My people. You didn't build shit. They were slaves. They let you go. They let you set you free. Now, if you built the White House after they set you free, then you can maybe claim something. But you was a slave. There's no way in the hell they're gonna let you get reparations when you was a slave. It was the law. You understand what I'm saying? So how are they gonna, if they give you reparations and say America say we sorry we put you in slavery, you can sue. Every black person gets sued now, go crazy suing people because the white people have admitted that they put us in slavery and said it was wrong. The government ain't gonna never do that. Understand what I'm saying? And they damn sure ain't gonna give you no trillions of money worth anything until the system crash, and then they might think about giving you fake money here and there and saying you need to stay with us.
Mm-hmm. Let me do this. Shout out to also the Real Dana, great show and guest, very informative. Before we go back to Amen Ra, let me just say this. So tonight I got so I don't know who watched my King Ganda's channel, right? But I do have Lala coming over in about 30 minutes. So we're gonna do a hangout real quick about why are there so many Ugandan women with white men? Or why are you older white men with Ugandan women? So we'll talk about that. So kind of similar to what you said. So she'll be over here in about 30 or 40 minutes. So then after that, but we're gonna do the live stream, like not like me and Amen Ra. We're gonna actually be in the same place doing it. So guys, shout out to everybody. Anything else you want to drop on them, brother?
Okay, I can be contacted. I'm only on Facebook. Black Man's Guide to Moving to Modern Africa. So if you search Facebook, Black Man's Guide to Moving to Modern Africa, you'll find that group there. That group is over 8 years old. It's over 8 years old, and it's been around for a long time, singing this same exact message today. Because I saw way back then that this was the only solution back then, and I wrote a book about it. So I created that group back in 2000. I don't know what year it was, but 8 years ago. And if you scroll down inside that Facebook group, Black Man's Guide to Moving to Modern Africa, you will see so many articles, so much information that verifies that all the things that has been going on over the years to where we are today. Back then, blacks moving to blacks moving to Africa was not a big topic, but today you can see many people are interested in it because they feel the oppression, even though they may not want to talk about it. But just the fact that they listen to these type of messages shows that they see that something is up. And this thing is not going to change for the good. America is not going to get any better. No superpower that was a superpower went down and came back up. They all went down slowly, gradually. The next superpower is probably going to be China. And when China becomes the official superpower, which is already the largest economy, and if you look at China, you'll see the amazing growth that they have. They already got Africa pretty much, sub-Saharan Africa pretty much in their back pocket. America won't have a chance. And so you're banking on the wrong horse. Okay, if you think like, okay, I'm America, I'm going to stay with America. No, that shit was maybe 20 years ago. You might have to say something like that. But even today, no, America's going down. And you can see that. You can see that everywhere you go. The infrastructure is depleting down. black communities are gone. Yes, they are. Detroit gone, Chicago gone, New Orleans gone. You know, they had us in poverty, and now they're gentrifying those poverty areas, getting into land for cheap, and then making it nice for white people, pushing blacks out into like the fields in the United States. So white people are never going to be equal with you. They're never going to allow you to be equal with them. And even if they gave you money, you would not be part of the elite that run the country. Okay? People that are elite run the country don't even worry about money, but it's not money that really gives them power. It's that they have that elite status and they have the connections that run the country, and none of them is really black. Okay? Because they ain't no black. Maybe they got some black advisors, but the ones who run the country, white people, they're gonna keep racism there. They're gonna keep think tanks continually keeping 5 and 6 steps ahead of us. Now, in this game of racism, which is just racism only is about economics. Just get that right. Not about black. It's about economics. And the black man is, I mean, the white man is in power today because he utilized this system of oppression and then made it law. And that's how he got us to where we are now. And he's going to keep his foot on our neck until the end days. He's never going to lift it off. So if you think that the white man is going to give you money, and you think that by talking about it, you're going to get some sort of reaction, and you're going to start getting some engagement with white people, it's never going to happen. Okay, look at integration. They tried to get integration with the system, and all it did was destroy us because whites took our money, but they didn't give us any power. They didn't share power with us. Okay. So that's it. So meet me on Facebook. I'll be in the comment section. Like I always am. I'm ready to answer any questions. So if you put some questions in the comment, I'll be there maybe in the morning and answer every question that you put in the comment section.
And it's the same name on Facebook, Amen K Rahh. You'll know that's him because he has the kind of the master martial arts instructor kind of outfit on there. So I'll put my Facebook link. Go ahead.
I put my face on Facebook. I put my face on Facebook, and my Facebook channel is completely open. I have always been open for everybody to come and see me directly. There's nothing I'm hiding. I don't put no privacy things on there. I'm just who I am. I ain't a big person, but I have been able to establish my dreams in the martial arts throughout the country, and I do seminars all the time in modern martial arts. And our goal is to take the African Sport Karate League and then expand it to other African countries. That will happen because I usually have dreams, and I usually fulfill all the dreams that I have. I'm also in digital education here in Kenya. I'm one of the people that was the first ones to do the actual exams in the primary level on tablet. So I've taken the paper exams, which has been the norm in Kenya since the beginning of the time, and put the whole digitalize the exam, put it in a tablet, and the tablet made a program that calculates the answers and corrects all the programs, corrects all the exam papers, exam scores, and prints them out. So this is another thing that I'm doing, and you can get that at ccgate.com, www.cc-gate.com. if you want to get involved in the digital revision revolution that's taking place here in Kenya and coming to Uganda soon too.
So all right. So again, Amen Rahh, I want to thank you for coming on. It's always very, I got him from a few people that me at Dynasty have kind of did a little bit of a swap, right? T. Kelly was a moderator on Dynasty. Well, no. Actually, T. Kelly was not a moderator on Dynasty. T. Kelly was a moderator here, but I met her on Dynasty channel. So me and my brother Dynasty, we know each other in real life. We from the same city. So in Sacramento, California, went to the same high school for a year, but he was a year younger than me. So that's how I got in contact with Amen Rahh. And Amen Rahh, you are a very entertaining person. Now you should yourself probably get a YouTube. Yeah, because you talk a lot of shit. And it's good though. You make a lot of good points.
Fans be telling me they love you, and I'm like, how? They like everybody else. You know, the only maybe difference is that I've been here for 20 years. Maybe you don't see that many people that've been here 20 years, but I don't see like I'm entertaining. And I love, you know, I'm a martial artist. I fought in many tournaments, over 400 tournaments. I'm a lover of competition and competition. So when I get haters that come online, I just wish we could have a show where it's just me, you, and you just read out the haters and what the haters are saying. And I love to fight.
Well,
Yeah, well,
I'll tell you what. Wait. I can do even better than that. I have a system where I've just paid about $100 so they can call in, because what happens is I have a call-in setup, but that call-in setup only works with me and the audience. But now I should be able to migrate my sound coming from you and them so that they can both hear it at the same time. So we're gonna try to get that set up. So the next time you come on, I'm gonna try to do that so they can actually call in. You can talk to them directly instead of them just.
Get them haters. And if you got one that, if you got like a hater leader that's really,
there's a brother named Toby.
I'll debate the black off his ass. I live in truth. So, you know, and I do my research. So how, you know, a lot of people get mad at me, and I understand that. And then they get mad for no reason, because when they get touched by the truth, sometimes it triggers this anger. And that's a stage that you have to go to before they go like, oh, you know, that guy, it was true. And I live my life by telling the truth. If I don't know something, I will say I don't know it. I don't even know why I love doing these shows. It's just that I love to interact with people. But as far as the black people in America are concerned, the majority of them I have written off. You see? And these keyboard clowns and these keypad jokers that come on here, I understand them. I've been dealing with them in Facebook for over a decade. So there's no story they can come and tell me. The moment they switch from the message to talking about me personally, I know that they don't have a solution. I know that they're angry, and they're just, you know, they're just haters, because their message is too much for them. So they start saying, well, I'm in around. What about you? You didn't. You. When you hear that, you know that the message is touching them. And maybe 2 years from now or longer, they come to realize and say they wrestle with it, and then they get the understanding. Africa is the place. Yes, America is mistreating you. You are not an American. You are an African. Get rid of that American name. Get you an African name and start walking around and be true to yourself.
Okay.
And then you'll see all your life, all your problems will start to dissipate. Because why would you stop at ADOS? Why would you stop at slavery when you could be ADOA and you have all of Africa and all the history of Africa at your disposal? You're part of that. And the white man has tricked you into believing that you're not. In fact, ADOS is there attacking Africans like a fool, thinking that the African needs them more than they need the Africans. I'm trying to tell you people, everybody know we don't got no money. They know that. So stop acting like you're an American, like you got some sort of wealth and you some connected to a dying dynasty, a dying empire. The multiple $1 trillion debt that America has, they're not gonna get out of that. China is buying up all the gold they can. They get ready to put a hurting on America. America tried to take over the oil in Venezuela, and they were stopped by the Russian and China. This is prominent. This is happening right now. You understand what I'm saying? America is losing, and you're gonna see your gas prices and your other commodities go up because America can't find somebody that they can steal their oil from. So what you gonna do then? That's it. You only got one choice: go to modern Africa, and then put your children in modern Africa if you can't get there yourself. Just take a test. Come here and see for yourself. Take a 2-week trip. You know, come see. I know haters will come and this, but I would say I guarantee you, because I have never met anybody that came here that didn't agree that this is a good place, and black people who got the right mindset can make it.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. Somebody is calling me. Hello. Yeah, hello. Are you the KFC? Hold on a second. Go ahead and keep talking, Amen Rahh. Let's see.
Yeah, so I'm saying like that. You can call me names. You can call me stupid. You can call me all he's ignorant. but that's just statements. You don't have nothing to back that up. I was in the chat room the other day. The guy, he couldn't figure out how to get me, so he started telling people in the chat room, I'm not college educated when I graduated from college. So you can't be listening to those people that are out there that are really being touched by the message. These people that are keyboard clowns are just there to try to confuse you because they just feel like that's what they need to do. And then you have the Negroes, and a Negro is anybody that's living in the United States. Any black person living in the United States is a Negro. But you could be either a house Negro, somebody who's talk about I ain't gonna never leave America, or you can be a field Negro, somebody who's saying any chance I get to get out of here, this the better. But you house Negro talking about I'm gonna be in America, America's my home. What about your children? What about the black children? Are they getting a good education in their school? Is the curriculum they're learning the truth? Is it giving black people the justice they deserve as far as what they have accomplished in this country? No. It's 2019 and they still putting in bad information and not giving us our belief about reparations. At least let them give our history right. If they're not gonna give our history right, what the hell makes you think they're gonna give you money? Huh? Get that out your mind. I've been around a long time. I've seen this before. And I'm telling you, the only solution you have is to make a plan and try to get the hell out of America because nothing is going to really work for you. Now, it might work for you personally.
Okay.
But all the people around you ain't going to help you. As a people, we still going to suffer. And you can't drive around in your RV truck and ride down the street and not see homeless black people and just say, that's them, not me.
Right. Let me do this real quick. All right. So for the brother, yeah, I had to get my KFC. So listen, for people who didn't know, it's all right, SNJ. If you add me on my channel, right, like orange me, let me tell you, brothers and sisters, something. That's what Super Chat is for, okay? Super Chat is for your message to come up where it's recognized. If you add me, then that what you're trying to tell me is that you're trying to do something that's not what the people who Super Chat are doing. So if you write your regular comments there, the chat is moving slow enough, I'm gonna see it, all right, and I'll respond to you like that. But if you don't know, if you're on my channel and you hit the @ where it gets my attention and you don't super chat, then even the moderators will get timed out by me. All right. So I time out moderators as well as people who are not moderators if you do that. So the white man got the $ on there. That's what you're supposed to be doing. If you want me to recognize your comment loud, then do that. All right. But so anybody that wants to reach out to Brother Amen K Rahh, then what you can do is Kobe, email me right after the show. And S&J, it's all right, brother. I have put Amen K Rah's name, his profile on Facebook in the link. All right. It's right there in the description. I'll put it right here also. So that's how you can reach him, brother. Facebook.com/Amen Rahh. Nah, it's not even about being cheap. It's just that I hate it because on my end, when I'm doing a show, it interrupts me. Because I see a orange thing coming on my screen. And if you just comment right there, I'll see what you're saying. I'll still talk back to you, even when you're on the show. You don't have to donate for me to recognize who you are. But if you want me to like stop what I'm doing, then I will get mad about that. So anyways, let me go ahead and shout out to the real Dana. I don't have to choose between ADOS or ADOA. I'm going to invest in Africa and fight for reparations in the United States of America. Let me add this in real quick. Amen Rahh.
Mm-hmm.
I think that no matter where we are, even with me right now, and I'm trying to build relationships with people like you, me and Dynus trying to, Dynus is actually, thank you, brother S&J Consulting Services. Dynus is building more relationship. I mean, Dynus is way more advanced than me in this kind of content. I'm just now getting a little bit warmed up. In fact, it was Dynus that got me to even come to Africa in Junk Power Video. And Junk Power Video is a white guy, right? So Dynus and Dynus played a big. So what I'm thinking though is now that I've been to Africa in 2 years, I'm producing content for the Advice show in Africa now. We're getting Africans, brothers and sisters, to talk to each other, although we disagree with certain situations. I think there are ways that the African diaspora and the African continent can help each other and work together. Although I do think that you know, from what I'm seeing, you know, on the continent, it seems like the Pan-Africanism thing is a little dead and it doesn't work. But you know, what I mean, what do you think about that? Can African Americans and Africans, can we still have a relationship where we can help each other and help each
No,
other out and do great things for one another?
oh, we ain't special. We're not a lot of people. We only a few million people. Okay? The best thing you can do, you don't need Pan-Africanism. The African has whooped the white man. He ain't got no problem with the white man now. White man that is coming to his country and asking to do business with him now. France, Britain has come to Kenya. President has come to Kenya for the first time. And what was he talking about? Oh, can we do business? Yeah. So the tide is turning. You seen the other day where the Pope came and was kissing the South Sudanese people's feet. I got on there, I told him, I wrote on my blog, you know, shit, it's too fucking late. Get up. You too late. The African has got the thing now. He's running with it. So this is the thing. Now Sudan is now kicked out their president, and you know they're gonna put a black guy there. So this is the whole thing. It's all changed. It's like a wave, and we need to be part of it. But you can't. You don't need Pan-Africanism when you won. You understand what I'm saying? And the black man the African man has won his fight against the white. He run his own country. He got his own military. He got his own economy. He got his own central bank. He got his own business community. See, he got his own transport system. He know all the things that need to be run to run the country, and he's doing a damn good job. And the next generation gonna do an even better job. So, what they need for Pan-Africanism for? You see what I'm saying? He welcomed the white man to do business because that's his nature. You see? When Kenyatta took over Kenya, white people were scared they were going to throw them all out. He gave a speech inside City Hall in Nairobi right after independence, and called all the white businessmen there and told them, I am not a monster. You see, you do right by us, you follow the rules, you're okay. You don't have to leave. You see, but the white racist white people, they devilish. Sometimes if they can't get over on you, they'll just leave you and find somebody they can't do that to. Because they have an insecurity problem that says that they must be on top. So, this thing, what's going to happen with an African American when he comes to Africa, like me? I'm going to be assimilated into the African culture. I'm going to have African children, and then I'm going to die, and then that's it. My children gonna be African. They're just gonna be a forethought in the past. Like my dad came from America, and my great grandfather came from America and had my dad, and then had my dad. Then I'm here. Well, what are you? I'm a Kenyan. You see what I'm saying? Or whatever country you're from. I'm just gonna die and be assimilated. But goddamn it, I ain't sure the fuck ain't gonna die in no white man's country where he was mistreating me for 400 years, and that's all in history and documented. No, the history book gonna look like Amen Rahh got fed up and said. Went to the airport, gave him the finger, and told them, I'm out. You see, you can oppress these other Negroes, but I am not the one. And I'm not going to sit in America and pay taxes for you, use those taxes to go oppress my people. Or go out and oppress other countries. What you did in Libya was wrong. The other thing, black people in America, they don't see how the rest of the world really sees America. America came into Africa and destroyed the most prosperous African American, killed Gaddafi. Loved by his people. Everybody in Gaddafi was sharing the oil wealth. They were getting a check every month in their bank account from the oil in the country. You had free education up to university. You could be a doctor and you never had to pay a dime in Libya. They murdered off Gaddafi like that. So you see, all the African countries, they saw that. And then on top of that, WikiLeaks. If you remember, they finally got Assange out of the embassy there, but WikiLeaks came out. If you can remember back in the day, WikiLeaks came out, and all of these African ambassadors, all these American ambassadors to Africa was talking all kinds of shit about the Africans. So in Kenya, they kicked that ambassador out. They told him you got 2 weeks to get out. So the ambassador had to leave. U.S. ambassador had to leave Kenya. They had to replace him. Now before then, that ambassador, the American ambassadors in African countries, Africans was catering to them. They was letting them in on all their secret meetings. The American ambassador can come to government official functions and be on stage with them. But today, shit, you lucky you get a ticket to the birthday party. They don't let the American ambassadors run around like in their business like they used to before WikiLeaks came out. And this is another thing that goes on that you don't see, and why they hate Asante so bad, because he let the African know that no matter how well you try to be friends with the Western people, they still gonna try to subjugate you.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So the World Bank and the IMF, you don't hear nothing from them because the Africans don't do business with them anymore, because they was putting all kind of conditions on the loans and then pulling back the money from the loans and forcing the Africans to pay the loans rather than pay for to improve their schooling system, rather than improve their social halls. I saw this myself. But when the Chinese came in, they said, look, we're not going to do you like that. We're going to do the partnership. The African was wise, sat down, made an agreement, and that agreement is now 19 years old, and everybody is still happy with the agreement. Sure, there's a lot of debt the African countries are in, but you got to have debt in order to build your country quickly. And if you talk about debt, don't talk about African debt. Look at America's debt. So in the next few, I say months, but definitely in the next few years, the main question is going to come up, and that question is this: why is it that 1 unit of Western money is worth 100 units of African money when we're the ones with all the resources? Mm-hmm. You see, no economist has ever been able to answer that question. Why is the dollar so powerful when we got all the resources in Africa? But once that question starts to be put on the table and start engaging in that, it's going to be over, and the Chinese are going to be right there. You see, and this is why America had to destroy Gaddafi when he started talking about pulling away from the dollar. This is why he had to destroy Iran when Iraq, when they decided to move to the euro and leave the dollar. This is why they had to go after Venezuela, because Venezuela was talking about going into another standard of currency and trading their oil outside of the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar don't have no power internationally. They're about to go under, and this is why the Chinese are buying up all the gold they can, and America is sitting there with their thumb up their ass with a president who thinks he can do talking and think he's running some sort of superpower. He's not, and he's got to negotiate. Trump would have never negotiated with North Korea if he knew he had power to defeat them, but he doesn't have power, so he tries to save face by doing the things he's doing. This is what's going on in the international community. Britain is about to go under because they're leaving the European Union because they don't know which way to go, because their economy just can't get off their feet. And France is on fire every weekend with the Yellow Jacket movement. I direct you to go Google Yellow Jacket movement in France and watch some of them videos of the protests, and you tell me that the European Union is not dying and the West is not dying. People in those countries are saying we want the same lifestyle as we had, but they can't have it. It started with Greece, went into Italy. Germany is the strongest economy they have. France is now on fire, and the Brits still think they can be somebody that they not. They just hoping for the best when they leave the European Union. But the government knows that when they leave, that's it.
All right, let me just do this real quick. And guys, I'm going live in 30 minutes on my other channel with Mariel Lala from Kinganda. And we're gonna do a call-in show so you guys can call in and talk to her here at the place. Yeah. Let me read this to KJ Jamos. Thank you, brother. Amazing content. The almighty Odinga. I met him in Brazil, right? He now I gotta say I kind of miss Brazil, brother. That was an interesting trip. Odinga Mabutu said, O'Shea, can you ask him if he thinks North and South Sudan are going to reunite because North Sudan's president is gone? What do you think?
Okay, I'm not really that familiar with Sudan or South Sudan. I know that a lot of Kenyans went there and tried to open up businesses in South Sudan, and then they came back because the place was just too volatile. It was not stable yet. But I can tell you that in Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and Rwanda, these places, they're talking about having a united currency and having a federation of states. And they're looking at that. Diana has also reminded me about ECOWAS, that they're doing the same thing over there. African communities are uniting. Now remember that the borders of Africa, all these African continents, they were all drawn up by white people. So when you go on the ground, it's nothing like this is the line and then you cross it and you're in another country. So these people cross over, black people cross over from border to border all the time, and these communities move back and forth with each other all the time. So what you may call South Sudan and North Sudan to you might be two different places, but to a family in Sudan, it doesn't matter. They just walk back and forth and deal with their families like no problem. But the one thing to look out for is that the Sudanese now put in a nationalist president who will do better business with the South Sudanese. You know, so I just see it as like the rest of the thing. More and more these puppet presidents that were aligned with the West are being kicked out and replaced. One of the great things in Congo is that they had elections, peaceful elections. They transferred power peacefully, and the Congo region is one of the biggest, going to be one of the biggest areas. You know, Brazzaville and Kinshasa, they're right next to each other, across from a river from each other. They're big, giant communities, and once they get their get a handle on their economy and start to grow, you better watch out. It's going to be a big economic movement. I recommend Congo to Black Americans as well. I don't recommend Ghana. I don't recommend Ghana as a homeland to go to. I always say Kenya is better. If you're going to be coming to Africa for the first time, you need to come to Kenya, where there's so much more opportunity and so much to see. The problem with Ghana, which they don't talk to you about, is that Ghana is a very small country. Accra is only like 3 business streets, you know, and that's it. And then they come talk about other cities, but the others, how can you be a city and you got 200,000 people, only 200,000 people? That's not a city. You go there, you'd be depressed because you see like it's nothing, like a little ghost town. Huh? Kenya is bigger, it's more industrial, it has more people, has more opportunity. They speak Swahili in Kenya, they speak Swahili in Tanzania and Uganda. When you go to Ghana, they don't speak any Swahili, they don't have connection with their neighbors. Ghana is completely surrounded by Franco-French countries. So even if you try to leave and go across to Nigeria, you got to go through that country and pay all kind of fees to get through there. They're not doing any trade with those French countries. And so and also Ghana is also heavily dependent on oil. So when America goes into problems or when the OPEC goes into situations, Ghana really feels it. I was in Kenya in 2008. I didn't even know that there was a recession going on. You couldn't feel it because Kenya's economy is diversified. They got a large tea section. They got tourism. They got their own oil now. We have our own oil now. So, you know, it's much better if you really want to see Africa as it really could be. Kenya definitely, because they speak English all over the place. Tanzania, they do speak English a little bit. And then Uganda was, I think like Uganda is still a third world country where Kenya is a middle income country. So you'll be able to see like, you know, full cities. And then, you know, you can, if you like, let's say you wanted to get into you wanted to find out, investigate into a particular field, like let's say printing. You go to Uganda, you might find one place that got a print press and you'd be like, that's nothing compared to what they have in the US. You might go to Tanzania, you see the same thing. But Kenya is an industrial company, so you go there, you find you got this printing company here, this printing company there. You see, you have more opportunity, more choices.
Yeah, well, no, that is more and more high end stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, for your first, then you can always change and go to Ghana if you want to later. But I say if you're gonna take your first trip to Africa, don't go there. We got Africa is full of these Black Americans running around, secretly selling fruits and shit like that because that's the only thing they can get out of that economy.
Wait. They secretly selling fruits.
Yeah, they did. The lady did a story in Ghana about the business opportunities in Ghana, and she came to find out that one of the major things they have is people selling fruit. And for sure, you see, they just put a blanket on the ground, put some fruit there, and they try to sell it. It's no money. You see what I'm saying? That brother that got that show talking about going to Ghana. And it costs more to live in Ghana than it costs in Kenya. Somebody was telling me in the chat room Kenya is expensive. No, go do your research. It's cheaper to live in Kenya than it is to live in Ghana. Because Ghana,
yeah, that's true.
Ghana doesn't have that subjugating housing. You got this special little 2 or 3. They got 2 in Accra area. They got 2 or 3 different section, little estates, and these estates are basically for foreigners because their regular Ghanaian can't afford it, and they put the prices up high. And you know, when you come there as an African American, you feel you got a certain standard you want to live. They'll take you there, and you'll say, "Yeah, this got a wash house, this got this and this," and then you can't afford it after a certain time. You see, and then when they take you to the regular, the way a Ghanaian lives, you're like, "Oh, I can't live like that." You see. Because they don't have that much, there's no difference between the high-end place and then the low-end regular place. I don't know if I can make that any sense. But in Kenya, you got all kind of housing, every kind of housing you can imagine. You know, they got stone cities, 4 or 5-story apartment buildings, just like everywhere. You see, so you can't miss a place to stay at any reasonable and find a place that's reasonable in your standard. So. This is what I'm saying about that. Ghana is not the place. If you're gonna come to Africa, I behoove you, because I have went all through the other countries, and I've seen. Don't go to South Africa. Don't ever go to South Africa as your first place to go. That'd be a mistake. You go to Kenya, you have access to Uganda. You have access to Tanzania. You got access to Rwanda. They're all neighbors right there. You got the big fresh lake. You got the biggest mountains. You got the biggest game parks. All that stuff is right there in Kenya. It's all right there for you with a transportation system that is really first rate. And you got internet while you're traveling between these places. Imagine you in there looking at the lions and tigers and bears, and you're on the phone talking to your people at home saying, "Look, I'm standing in front of a lion. Let me call you back." You see, you can do that in Kenya. Yeah,
let me call you back.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So. I'm not trying, you know, because here go the haters. Oh, he just want everybody to go to Kenya. So therefore, I'm gonna hate that. I want to go to. I'm not gonna fuck that. I'm going to Ghana. You see, it's okay. Go to Ghana. I'm just giving you from 22 years of experience. I'm just giving you what I think is best. If you don't like what I'm saying, take your happy ass to Ghana and go run around Accra for 2 minutes and realize you done seen the whole place. And then settle down. Okay. Mm-hmm. So in Kenya, you got too many communities. You can't run out. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about you got some money and you want to go do some party life? Go on in the Accra and see them 3 clubs. After that, you nothing.
Let me do this. Native Negro, peace, brethren. Which is the best country, Kenya or Uganda? Because we share similar interests, O'Shea. I'll let you answer that.
It's no best country, okay? Get me right. It's no best country. Everybody has their own preference. I'm not telling you that you should pick this and that country. I'm saying if you've never been to Africa and you want to get a pretty good view and you want to have a lot of opportunity to see different things and you want to test the people and you want to see what is possible in a modern African country, where they got football stadiums here, football stadiums there in Kenya. They don't have that in Ghana. You understand what I'm saying? So go to Kenya. They got direct flights out of New York to Kenya. Direct. In New York, you're in Kenya. You're in Nairobi. So this is go there for your first trip. I know you hear a lot of people talk about going to Ghana, but I'm saying I think that's a trick by the CIA to get you to go there where they can follow you and watch your ass. And they know you're not gonna prosper in Ghana. You ain't gonna have no big major businesses there. You see, I have seen and met African Americans who are heading security companies. This brother was from Los Angeles, had a Raider shirt. I wanted to beat him up and take it. And he was sitting in his office. He running the security, Secure Corps, I think, or whatever, not Secure Corps, but one of these companies. He got a gun on his hip. And so, well, how you carrying a gun? I've been registered to carry a gun. You know, I'm running a security firm. I got to be able to do A, B, C, D. I'm in, you know, it's like this, is like that. And I'm sitting in his office over here in High Park Towers, and this is Black American. You see what I'm saying? Living comfortably, laughing and joking with me. And he running things. And there are other Black Americans that are also running things, working in the UN, working in the American Embassy, you know, in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So I say that Kenya is the best choice, and it don't cost that much more to fly to Kenya than it does to Ghana, and you don't have a heavy American presence in Kenya like you do in Ghana. So if you're trying to get away from the white man and you move into Ghana, he's there. But if you come to Kenya, you may not even see one. I rarely see a white American, and the few white people. And by the way, I've been doing a lot of things here. I want to point out too that I have lived with a German, a white German, for 4 years in Mombasa. We was roommates for 4 years, so I know white people. You see, and I'm telling you that Kenya is the best opportunity for you here. Yeah. As far as learning about Africa, you go to Ghana, you won't get the right impression. If you go to Nigeria, you will not get the right impression because Nigeria is overly crowded with too many people, and there's too many people that are not. They're growing too many people that are not structured in family. You see, so you got somebody that's just born into crime, and that's what he does, and it's like thousands and thousands of people. You never know which way you're going. You know what I'm saying? So Nigeria, and I want to go to Nigeria and see for myself, and I'm going to make plans for that. But it's a heavily populated country, and it affects it, and it's also heavily dependent on oil. So you do get some sort of imbalance of what African life can really be like. But in Kenya, it's very diversified. The people are friendly. They know how to deal with tourists. Tourism is a big industry in Kenya, and there's a lot of business and job opportunity. Because look at me, I had one martial arts school in the United States, and when I came to Kenya, in less than no time, I had 29 clubs I was managing, martial art clubs, and still to this day, I'm still going around doing promotions and seminars in martial arts 22 years later. So the stability of the country is also there. That's why I say now, if you want to move and try another location some other day, it's okay. But I don't want the hater to come in here saying, "Nah, he wanted me to go. I'm never going to go to Kenya. Kenya." Then they start saying bad things about Kenya. You can say bad things about any country, but I'm just telling you, for those people who are really interested, I'm talking to you. Leave about the haters. Your best choice on your first trip to Kenya
All right, I think, did he leave? All right, it seemed like he's frozen, y'all. I gotta go up out of here. White man got him. But listen, shout out to everybody that supported the show. And the Negro Manosphere then went down again. Let me go ahead on and check this out, man. Peace out, everybody.